The Land Rover Defender is one of the ultimate luxury off-roaders, and now it's available with the V8. More on that to come, but this is the 2021 Land Rover Defender. This is the first edition, but there are some updates even for 2022 that we have available that I'm going to show you in a little bit. In this video, you're going to see exactly what you get with this Land Rover Defender 90, the shortened wheelbase, the 3-door version, and it's actually more practical than you would think. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nolan. I do reviews like this every single week, so if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe down below. But also, if you're not as interested in this 3-door, technically like 2-door, 90 version, I have a video of the 110 where I go into a ton of detail. So be sure to look in the description below if you want to see that. Now I want to start things off under the hood because there is a big addition for 2022. You can get the Defender with the V8, a 5-liter V8. That 5-liter supercharged V8 is going to give you 518 horsepower and 461 pound-feet of torque to push you 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. And you may be wondering, how is this Defender going to handle that in terms of handling and suspension? Well, it gets a bespoke chassis and transmission tuning. So it's going to be able to handle that power with the transmission and with the suspension. So I'm excited to see how that comes out. But under the hood here, we have the mild hybrid 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine. It's a twin scroll turbo with a 48-volt electric supercharger giving you 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. With Land Rover's all-wheel drive system, it can put 100% of the torque up to the front wheels or 100% of the torque to the back wheels. So you can get enough power on one side or another. Plus, with this much power, you can even tow 8,200 pounds. So that's fantastic. It is really a vehicle built for adventure. And miles per gallon, pretty much stinks. Up to 22 miles per gallon on the highway. Now let's dive into the exterior details of this Defender 90. Now this style carries over from the 2020 model, which is when it was redesigned for this generation. Now the Defender is not a body-on-frame type of SUV, but it's supposed to have very rigid structural stability, like a body-on-frame design with its D7X architecture. But one thing I really like is the distinct nature of this front end and these headlights. You have Defender written across the front. You even got the pattern up on the hood there as well. And then this is not metal down here. That is actually just decorative plastic, which is kind of a bummer. I wish it was actually like a metal bumper. But look at these headlights. You've got these premium LED, full LED headlights, daytime running lights, and I love that circle. It's very distinctive. You also have LED fog lights, as you can see, integrated down there. And then the blinker takes up these little squares, and that is going to reflect and look just like it does on the back of the vehicle as well. And those fog lights actually work as cornering lights to illuminate next to the vehicle when you turn or signal. And if you want to see a night video, I have a night review of the Defender and how well the headlights do with the 110 that I got last year, so be sure to check that out in the description below. And this paint color on this one is very unique. It's called Pangea Green, if I'm saying that right. I had the Gondwana Stone last time, which was like a darker greenish color, but this looks really unique. It's like a very light, kind of, you know, nature-esque type of green paint. You can get a huge variety of wheels, but we have just kind of basic 20-inch wheels right here. Plus we have the optional off-road tires. As you can see, those are pretty grippy and pretty knobby with these all-terrain Wranglers. You can get a whole variety of different wheels and tires though to really outfit this Defender. And design-wise, what do y'all think? We have the white roof on this one. We had a different roof on the last one, and I'll show you what you can do with that roof on the inside. You've got a lot of cladding on the bottom, so you kind of have a protective area so you don't have as much exposed paint. And dimensionally, this is about 180.5 inches with the spare tire, which is significantly smaller, about 17 inches smaller than the 110 version. This does have an adaptive suspension and an air suspension that I'll show you in a little bit, and it can even go through 35.4 inches of water and alert you once you get to that height. And just look at that departure angle. The approach and departure angle are excellent. We've got up to 11.5 inches of ground clearance as well, which is great when you're in the off-road height. And with the roof back there, you've got the Alpine windows, and I'll show you more about that roof in a little bit. You definitely have a very upright rear end. I feel like this is reminiscent of the Defenders of old. And then you got full LED taillights, you've got the red blinker, and you've got those same cubes, the square design like you have up front. And obviously you've got the Land Rover badging on the wheel, and that wheel is going to make this a swing gate instead of a lift gate. Now let me show you the different heights with this air suspension. So right now we're in the lowest entry exit air suspension height to make it easier to get in the vehicle or load some items. Let me raise it up to the normal height, and you do that just by the push of a button. All right, and that was pretty quick. Now we're at our normal height. Then I'm going to push the button again to go to our off-road height. Now we're here, you can see we are obviously higher up. You can do this, I believe, up to around 50 miles an hour is how high or how fast you can go with this off-road height. And on the screen, it even shows you your dimensions in meters or in feet and inches, so you know your departure angles, your breakover angles, and your ground clearance levels. And coming to the back, like I said, we've got, because we have the spare tire back here, we've got a swing door. So it swings open this way, which if you're in the United States and you drive on the right side of the road, this could be a little impractical because you open up and come to the oncoming traffic side, but not a big deal. Back here, there is a grab handle up here. There is some storage down here, and then there's actually a little hazard light right back in here, or hazard reflector if you want to use that. And then back here, storage space is definitely not great. You know, they gave the second row probably a little more space than I expected and took a little bit more away from this, but you've still got a same nice, durable, easy to wash out floor like you do everywhere else. So if you have the seats folded, which you have a 40-20-40 split, where you can have a split fold and not impede your passenger space, that's fantastic. You also have hooks right here on each side that can be folded in and out. I have this cargo cover folded up right there, but it comes out here, so you can have all your cargo area covered up. Plus, because we have this air suspension, I can actually push the button and it's going to lower down. So the vehicle is actually lowering right now to make it easier to get stuff in and out of here. Under this floor is just your jack, no extra storage down here. And then once you fold the seats down, you're going to get about 58 cubic feet. And like I said, it's all washable. And that's probably how you're going to have this vehicle the most, to have the most amount of cargo space. If you get the 110 Defender, you can get all the way up to 78.8 cubic feet of space. Now here's Land Rover's key fob. Just like other Land Rover key fobs, you can turn on the headlights. You can unlock the rear hatch, but obviously you can't lift it up because it's a swing door. But the way that this works, it's pretty simple. You just have a button here to lock it or to unlock it. There's no sensor in the back, but when you come up to the vehicle at night, it's got this really cool approach lighting with the Defender logo that projects on the ground, so that is pretty sweet. And now taking a look at our seats, there's a couple really cool things about these front seats. First of all, this is like a two material, so you've got leather, but then you've also got this really tough feeling cloth material, and this seriously feels really durable, which it should, because this vehicle is built for adventure. So I'll show you about getting into the back seat in just a second, but these seats have nice bolstering. It's actually pretty big bolstering on the sides, but it's actually really flat on the bottom. So big bolsters here, small bolsters here, and then our seat adjustment controls here. We've got 4-way lumbar support, and then your basic tilt and height adjustment, moving forward or backwards, and then reclining. Upper trim levels can give you more adjustments if you want, but we also have this 6-passenger option. So you've got a middle seat instead of the center console. So I'll show you a little bit more of how the center console works, but you can fold that up and have a whole nother seat. So you can have that optional if you want. And I've been really comfortable in these seats. I got to spend a good amount of time in the Land Rover 110 before as well, and I was comfortable the whole time. These seats are heated on here. No ventilated seats on my model, but you can get ventilated seats on upper levels if you want to. And we have the 3-position memory settings on the passenger and the driver side. The other thing about this interior is notice how the door sills are pretty much flush with the exterior. And even if you don't have these mats, this material is very easy to wash out. So if you actually go off-roading and get dirty, this will be a very easy clean to be able to just brush it out, wipe it out, and rinse it. Now getting into the second row, so this is actually going to really surprise you. Even though you've just got the 2 doors up here, like coupe style, traditional style, there's actually quite a bit of space in the second row. The nice thing is access is easier than you think. There's a lever right here to move the seat forward like that. And depending on where you're sitting, you might be able to have somebody sneak back there. Otherwise, Land Rover conveniently gave you these buttons to power adjust the seat without having to touch the controls down there. Now, it'd be kind of nice if it could just automatically slide forward when you do that, like it releases the power mechanism, but you can wait to get back here, but then it gives you a pretty decent area to get into the back. But here's the crazy thing. I actually put a car seat back here, and my daughter kind of crawls into her car seat on her own. I just got to tighten her up, and I can actually fit it sitting behind myself, which is fantastic at 5'9". There's a lot of vehicles that I can't do that, and I never expected to do that in this two-door here. If you really want, you could just kind of leave that seat forward, and then you've got a ton of space for your leg room. And even with that seat scooted all the way back, I still have good knee space. There's not quite as much front leg room as there is in some vehicles, but really good space here. You've also got an attachment here for a couple different accessories from Land Rover if you want to clamp things there. Then you've got a USB port in the back of each seat. Plus there's two 12-volt power outlets and two USB-C charging ports right there. And you're nice enough to actually get air conditioning vents, so this back seat is much more doable than you'd think. Also, you've got a center folding armrest with cup holders, a little storage area, and a decent armrest on the side. Plus there's a grab handle and a speaker. And then you've got another cup holder and storage area next to you. And headroom is also good. Obviously, you've got this tall style roof, but headroom is no problem. You've got the Alpine roof area, and then you've got this folding roof right here, which I'll show you in more in a second. But the back seat is actually a really cool place to be in this Defender. Now I'm going to give you a quick run through of the interior, because you can check out that 110 video for all of the extra details. But this is a nice mix of utilitarian with practicality, but also some luxury features in here too, and a nice combination of materials. Like the fact that the doors actually have exposed bolts, that looks cool. The material here and up along this entire panel of the dash running across is a nicer soft material as well. And I say soft, but it still has a durable feeling to it. Even this material on the steering wheel, on the edge of the door, it just feels tough. Like I said, over on the door, you've got this soft material, the exposed bolts, a really nice big grab handle, and a soft padded armrest. Not a very good bottle holder, but some decent storage down there. Memory settings, and then you've got your clear sight or clear exit monitor. So this will light up if a vehicle's coming in your blind spot if you're gonna open your door. The steering wheel is comfortable to hold on to. It's heated, it's leather wrapped. I wish it was a little bit thicker up here, but it's still comfortable to hang on to. You've got the 4-spoke design, and it's power tilt and telescoping. So it's easy to get it where you want it, and you have your memory settings. And then in front of us, this is the standard display. So you can change this up to have like 2 gauges, to have 1 gauge, to have an entire, something entirely different for the layout. You can decide what's on the right side, what's on the left side. You can just basically make it however you want. It's not as fast to change things as I wish it was, but you can customize it however you want. And then take a look at this. You've got a little storage area by the dash right there, and that runs all the way over. There's space behind the screen, which is where I've been keeping my wallet and sunglasses, and then space over there. And there's a 12-volt power outlet up there too with Defender written down there. So I like this like storage shelf. It's actually really nice. And we don't have it on ours, but you can get a head-up display that projects onto the windshield. And on our model, we have this 10-inch screen, but for 2022, you can get an optional 11.4-inch touchscreen, which will also make wireless charging standard. On this 10-inch screen, there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do and that you can see on here. So it's got a pretty simple layout. You can quickly go to a different customizable menu if you want to as well. Your brake hold button is actually on the touchscreen. I wish it wasn't in the screen and it was a real button. But otherwise, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It does not take up the whole screen, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's still good size. There's shortcuts for navigation for your phone. You can have driver profiles as well to have your own customizable settings on here. But check this out. If we go into reverse, we've got this 360-degree camera. So this is the on-road camera. You have an off-road camera. I'll show you more in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and put it back into park, actually. And then on the side, you can just touch the camera icon And look at this, you have this 3D camera. So you can see like right next to the vehicle, it will move you around. You have parking sensors and you can mute those with that. But I love this camera. I mean, this is so cool. And over here, if you just tap, let's say you tap right there, it'll show you that side of the vehicle. Or you can go to the front and it'll show you right in the front, the back, right next to the tires. It's great. And off-roading, take a look at this. So you got different cameras for off-roading too, and it shows you your off-road controls over here. But look at that. This is the view basically right in front of you. So this is the clear sight ground view. So I just put it in drive, and if you're driving, you can literally see like almost as if the vehicle's not even there. Then we have our shifter right here. It doesn't actually move, it just pivots. And then dual zone climate control right here. And the bummer is that it shows ventilated seats with your heated seats. You press that to turn those on. But even though it shows the ventilated seats, we don't have them. It's just a big tease. Then you have off-road controls, your downhill ascent or downhill descent, your height adjustment for your suspension right there pretty easily, traction control. You even have a low range. You have to turn it into neutral to have your low range. And then your drive modes over here. So you press that, and then on the screen it'll show up. You have comfort mode, eco mode, grass, gravel, snow, mud and ruts, sand, rock crawl, wading through water, and then your own configurable drive mode. So that's pretty sweet. Just below the dash you get a USB-C, USB type A, and a 12-volt power outlet. And then somebody could sit in the middle. You do have some durable floor, like you saw. You can fold the seat up. The cup holders are pretty small, and this whole plastic piece is honestly kind of annoying because it doesn't give you a ton of elbow room. I wish this was a little bit more flush, but there's a little pad right here. Should have a rubber liner on it for things, but it doesn't. And then you saw the charging ports in the back. With that touchscreen, we have the Meridian 10-speaker system, but you can get a 14-speaker Meridian sound system in the Defenders. Take a look at this right up here. You've got this digital camera for your rearview mirror. So you can have a regular rearview mirror, or you can have an actual camera to look out the back of the vehicle. And it's a really large mirror, and it's actually sitting up high, which I like, because a lot of rearview mirrors can honestly just kind of be in the way right there. I like how high this one is. Then up here you also have LED lighting. You've got sunglass holder, and check this out. You saw a little bit of this when we were in the back. It's the folding roof. So it's a fabric folding roof that can open up partway or all the way. Some Defenders can give you a panoramic solid roof, but you can get this one if you want as well. Another cool feature that I like is the fact that a lot of times the sun can come through right between the rearview mirror and your visor, but you have this little fold down visor, which is great. And this visor pops out, of course, and it can slide out. It just doesn't slide out quite as far as you might like because this is a huge window. All right, now let's get behind the wheel of this Defender, and as we're in reverse, both of the side mirrors can reverse tilt down, and this driver's side mirror is actually automatic dimming as well. And I love that camera. It's just fantastic. If you didn't see that camera, be sure to go back and check it out because you can see three-dimensionally around the vehicle basically. But in this test drive, I want you to get an idea of what it's like to be the one driving this Defender because it's actually pretty fun. Most time SUVs are not fun to drive, but this one, I would say it's fun. It's got a special character about it. It's got good power with this inline six, and you can get that V8, and I can't imagine that V8. I mean, that's got significantly more horsepower than this does. And I'm glad that they updated the chassis for that V8 because this one feels a little bit wallowy and there's definitely a lot of body movement. Like for example, pedal down, and it just kicks up that front end. I mean, this thing, when you turn and when you get on it and brake, you definitely have some body movement and body lean, but it's a big SUV. But now out on the road, the handling of this isn't that bad. I said there's some body lean, which there is, but on a day-to-day basis, most people are gonna feel very comfortable driving this, and even though it's so big, it's not that hard to drive around. It's not real long, it's just tall and wide. The other Defender still isn't that big compared to some vehicles. And the visibility out of here is also great. I mean, you've got You've got a pretty short window here because of this boxy style, but I like it. You've got a nice upright view, good visibility out the sides. It's just it's a one-of-a-kind type of vehicle to drive, it seems like, and it's pretty responsive. This transmission has been mostly unnoticeable, which is kind of the way you want most transmissions to be. If you are like, oh, that transmission's jerky, it's not doing a good job. But in here, even with this power, it responds pretty quick. It really does. And ride comfort isn't bad at all. You've got large wheels on here, but we've got pretty good sized tires as well. They are off-road or all-terrain tires, but it's still pretty good. And I mean, you can soak up bumps pretty easily. The long wheelbase version, it's been a while since I drove that, but it should be a little bit better, because when you have more space between your front and back axles, it gives your vehicle a little more time to keep its composure. And now get around this corner, and then so we're going about 30, a little bit of pedal, gets up to speed, and then pedal down. This Defender flies. I mean, mid 5 seconds, 0 to 60 for such a boxy vehicle. I'll take that. And we have an adaptive suspension. We have this air suspension, and it's better handling than most people would expect. I mean, there's some body movement, but it still holds its own. It's not like you're gonna feel like you're out of control. And I don't mean to tease you about that V8 in the beginning of the video, but I am excited to see how that V8 drives, because this Defender is gonna be a one-of-a-kind with that much power coming out of the V8. And getting on the brakes here, the brakes still feel good. You get bigger brakes when you have this inline 6 compared to the standard 4-cylinder, so that's also good to see. Now, up to speed, road noise isn't too bad, but wind noise is definitely noticeable. Obviously you have a boxy design, and I can sometimes hear almost like little creaks or something coming from the roof, and it's got to be this folding fabric roof. I wish there wasn't any noise, but sometimes there's a little bit of noise coming from there. It's rare, but it happens sometimes. So if wind noise is a problem for you, the Defender is not going to be your favorite. We don't even have laminated glass over here. This is still just your regular glass. It is a little thicker than some, but a double pane glass would maybe help with some of the wind noise, or different ceiling, but there's definitely noticeable wind noise at times. Then getting on it again. Now, I've floored it a couple times, but even just partial pedal, we start to get power pretty quickly. And I would say on a day-to-day basis driving this, I like the shelving in here. I'm not a huge fan of this armrest with the big plastic in the middle, but the screen is nice and easy to read. You can change the layout, but I wish you could change through some stuff a little quicker than what you could with this. The volume knob for the radio is over here, but you can do it with your steering wheel, so that's good. You'll get a bigger screen in the 2022 Land Rovers, so I'm excited to see that. But the interior is just nicely done. It feels tough and durable with the materials, but it's also soft, and it's got just a nice practical sense about it. And this camera up here is also pretty unique as well. And now, unfortunately, most people probably won't really do much for off-roading, and I'm sorry, I don't have a good place to off-road that's legal, but I'm gonna get you on some gravel. And you've got your drive modes, and I've been on gravel before here with this, and there's not a rattle. I don't actually hear that fabric noise that I heard before, so that's good. And it just feels smooth. It's just playful out here. It really is. And you have the capability that you would expect with Land Rover. Too bad I can't really show you that. But you've got great approach angles, departure angles, ground clearance, and this all-wheel traction is just great. So I hope you've enjoyed this drive. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. Now, to wrap things up on this Land Rover Defender, I really like what Land Rover brought for this generation of the Defender. And for 2022, it's nice to see that the supercharged V8 is available, even though it gets really expensive in the price. And you also get a bigger screen inside and some other tweaks with packaging. But what do you guys think of this Defender? It really is a nice combination of luxury features, utility, and rugged capability as well, because you still have the ground clearance, you've still got the power, you got the off-road capability too. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of this Land Rover Defender 90. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. If you want to see more, subscribe down below. Hope you have a great day.